How's everyone doing this morning? It is dry suit testing day. About 18 degrees out here. With the wind chill, it's about 3. And obviously the water temperature is at least 32 degrees because there's ice on it. So we're going swimming. Stay tuned. All right.
Well, frozen.
Oh. Oh, that's...
All right, so there's so much slush, I can't walk through it. Whew. Feels good though.
Yeah?
Oh.
Oh, it's starting to flow. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow. You disturbed the whole ice pack. Holy moly.
Dude, it's slush all the way down to the bottom.
Wow. Give us some insight. What'd you feel?
Well, I'll tell you what. Even with the dry suit, the hat, the gloves, that initial shock was there. Because the water's so cold, it took me a minute to kind of catch my breath. I didn't feel in danger, but I felt like I just needed to catch my breath, get my bearings, and figure out what situation I'm in. But right now, I mean, I feel great. My body's warm. My hands are pretty warm. My head feels good. Even though it's wet, you know, all the heat's coming up and just keeping it warm. The only thing is, I mean, it's just all slush. So it's hard to move through, hard to get through. Obviously, we wouldn't be fishing in these conditions.
Gotta get my... Chuck Earls. Gonna make the blooper reel.
See my zipper? It's like froze solid.
Oh, jeez.
So, another year, another successful test. Water temperature obviously is 32 degrees or below. There's at least a foot of slush in it, as well as a little bit of ice on the surface. Outside temperature, I think last time I checked, was 18 degrees, but it was supposed to be a wind chill factor of about 2 or 3 degrees. So it's supposed to be pretty cold out there. I feel pretty good. I'm really warm. I know I'm covered in ice, but my core temperature is very warm. When I jumped in the water, the initial shock of the water hitting my face and my head definitely kind of took my breath away for a second, which that kind of water obviously is going to. But when I stopped, got my bearings together, caught my breath, felt pretty good, swam around in the water, and obviously no leakage. My underlayers are performing properly. They are keeping me completely warm. I was wearing my neoprene gloves, which keep you warm when you're wet. They work really good. I just had a cotton hat on. But other than that, head was staying warm. You know, my hair and my head warmed up really quick because all the heat from my body is trying to go this way because it can't go anywhere else really.
So what's your weak point and how do you plan to fix it?
Well, even I was wearing these glacier gloves, and these are the pro anglers. And they have slits in the finger, you know, so you can get your fingertips out and tie knots and stuff like that. I do not like the slits because it lets the water, fresh water in by my fingers, and the object of neoprene is to trap water, and then your body warms it up, so it becomes an insulating layer. Well, if I'm constantly getting fresh water through the fingers, obviously I'm not going to be able to trap water in it. So even though these keep me mostly warm, I think I'm going to be looking into a little bit heavier duty diving gloves or some thicker neoprene that don't have the slitted fingers. That way, if I do go in, I can put them on, stay warm in that aspect.
So you're in the water, you're offshore, and your kayak sinks. What do you think your plan is now that you've been in the water?
Well, you know, the good thing is the water almost acts like another insulating layer. So I feel very, very warm and very comfortable in the water. You know, it's almost like it's colder in the air temperature. So like when I dip something, a part of my body, like my hands or my head into the water, and then I come back up into the air, I think that has more of an impact. So, you know, if I got separated from my kayak or my kayak sunk, I would probably just constantly try to keep moving, keep the blood flowing, kick my feet a little bit, you know, just double check everything. Obviously, my radio's not on right now, but obviously I would reach out to the Coast Guard and some nearby vessels. Hopefully there's somebody in the water, maybe. But yeah, I mean, in that situation, when you lose your vessel, I mean, that's a long swim back, at least in this gear. Eventually, I may be able to swim back as long as the conditions aren't bad. But worst case scenario, I would have to call the Coast Guard to come rescue me.
Seeing how cold it is out here, do you have any personal minimums now that you would just maybe not fish in?
You know, this is probably the lowest. Mainly because obviously the water's frozen. There are days like last year when I tested and it was this cold outside, the water temp was still 33 degrees, so it was still open. So I mean, I'll fish all day in that, you know what I mean, with the air temperature being 20 degrees. The downside is I went to net a fish and I dipped my reel into the water, and literally within 2 minutes that reel was froze solid. So really, if it's not frozen, I'm in it. So I guess my minimum would be frozen water.
All right. Well,
This is what happens when you're a friend of mine. You come out here, 20-degree weather.
oh, that's lucky. Oh yeah. Oh. Something moving. I don't want to go on there.
It's probably a catfish.
Is that the river monster?
Yeah.
They're after me.
That's a river monster, Jason. Look out. Oh!
Did I get under?
Oh yeah.
Oh, my face. Oh, that's painful.
Ice cream headache.
Ugh.
What do you think?
My body's not cold, but my face is on fire. Probably just leave all this stuff on. I'm crying a little. See how long these gloves last. They're not very good at all. I have so much air in the dry suit that when I went under it has good buoyancy, but I was almost afraid it was gonna pop my seal.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, you're not under long enough unless, but I mean, I'm toasty. I could sit here all day besides my hands and my head's starting to warm up already.
Right. I think
feel
maybe
a little coldness around my my butt. I don't know if I'm getting wet. I doubt it, but yeah. I could sit here for a while. We should just have a drink.
Put the timer on.
All full of mud. Interesting test though. Can't get too much colder, I wouldn't think.
No.
Overall, I feel dry. I don't even have my life jacket on. I could sit here all day. If I let the water or the air out, I don't know. But probably need to think the gloves in the head situation, although without it being submerged, they stay pretty warm once the water's out.
The neoprene helps insulate the heat a little bit.
So I guess if you're waiting to get rescued, this would be the position. 2 hours later, you'd just be an ice cube. They'd have to cut you out. Oh, I'm gonna have to shower in this. Maybe I'll.
Watch out for that log.
Kayak performed great.
Didn't even make it past the first ice sheet.
Glad I brought that out.
I know, we could have left them at home. Final thoughts?
I'm glad we did it, but I don't want to do it anymore.
Well, what'd you think?
Yeah, sitting here at Emerald Necklace Marina in Cleveland, Ohio on a lovely winter day. Just did some dry suit testing. Pretty happy with the overall outcome, which was we stayed warm in very cold water and mostly dry, except for hands and our head, which we're gonna strategize some ways to eliminate that cold spot. What that is, I don't know yet, but it was a good day to test and see what the water feels like when you go in, because a lot of people go out not really thinking of the consequences. Even if you're in a boat, people feel pretty safe, but bad things happen, emergencies happen, you could end up in the water. So it's always good to know what it's going to feel like and how you're going to react to it, and then also to identify weaknesses and try and correct those. But it was interesting. My first time in cold water. It's really my first season in a dry suit, so I'm still getting used to wearing it and how it feels. But yeah, overall, I think it was a success. It makes me a lot more comfortable, actually. I don't think it necessarily pushes my limits in the sense that I'll go out in just any weather. I think you still need to establish minimums. And obviously we wouldn't be fishing in an ice pack, but it just happened to be iced over when we came down. So yeah, I think it helps me understand what my limits are, and then maybe staying above those limits is important, and then dressing appropriately, I guess, would be the overall outcome of this.
With your proper underlayers, right?
Yeah, I guess it's a little cheating, because I did put on maybe like one extra layer than I would have normally when I went fishing, because I knew I was going in the water. But this may be my standard now. That
usually it's 20 to 30 degrees warmer when we're fishing.
So like Chuck said earlier, it's probably, I think I heard wind chill down around 0 Fahrenheit, so it was about as cold as I would probably be outside, and I don't know that I would be fishing, but yeah, it's definitely a cold day to be out testing stuff, so good day.
Nice. Thanks for coming out, man. Yeah. I appreciate you helping me and testing with me, and now, obviously we're a lot more comfortable out there, feel a lot more safe. If we're out there 2 miles out in the middle of January, and it's not icy, we know we can fall out, get back in, get back to shore.
Check out Kayak Fishing with Chuck Earls.
Well, the testing was a success. My beard is finally melted and ice-free. Everything worked flawlessly. My Kokatat Drysuit
worked as it should, and as expected for the 3rd year in a row. I'm very grateful that Jason Duca joined me today to test his dry suit, as well as keep me safe, because you don't want to test alone in these conditions. They are very dangerous conditions with or without the right safety gear. So you always want to make sure you take the proper precautions to ensure that you can test safely and obviously make it back to shore. Today was different. You know, I've been in these conditions a couple of times, but today the water temperature was actually below freezing. I didn't get a reading on it, but it was slushy. There was ice on the top, so obviously it was at least 32 degrees or less. But the point I want to make is, when I was in the water, when I was trying to walk through the water, it felt like there was a wall of slush that I was pushing through. Like, you know, when you walk through like 2 foot of snow and you feel that resistance? Well, I was having the same thing in the water. So that's something to keep in mind when you are in those conditions. Swimming and movement is definitely a little bit restricted because of the ice and the slush. That being said, I still, you know, basically just kind of claw your way through, grab the slush, pull yourself forward, and that gets the job done. But definitely something to think about when you get out there and you test. So hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you learned something. I hope this inspired you to get out and do what you love safely. I guess I will see you on the next video. The next video will be a fishing video because, as you know, for me, fishing is life.